I didn't become the leader of my house because I tell people what to do. I became the leader of my house because I show people what to do.
Yeah.
I am the walking example. I'm the walking model that everyone in this house can mirror.
Absolutely.
And I can well imagine that my brother Warren is the exact same way. Warren, do you feel like you have to be the standard bearer in your house that is the model that everyone else can mirror?
On all fronts. I feel like if I don't show them, me telling them is not going to help them.
Never.
Especially in terms of I'm raising 2 daughters and a son.
Yes.
I have to teach my son to see. We're talking about things being out of place. Let's go back to that for a second. A lot of that comes from just things being out of order, right? And I don't like anybody who was raised in a single parent household because circumstances, that's what it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
But I grew up in the gang culture, right? A bunch of dudes on my block. I was the only dude that had a daddy, right? And so now you got all these dudes who don't understand how to deal with their emotions because they've learned how to deal with their anger from a woman.
Right.
They learn how to deal with their emotional problems and when they got frustrated from their mothers instead of their fathers. And so when you mix that, because women, when y'all get mad, y'all can fly off the handle and go crazy, but it's all right. You ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Not me.
But women by and large, you guys can be
emotional.
Yeah. But if you mix that with testosterone, unchecked testosterone, that's how you got people killing each other in the streets.
What you're teaching your daughters how to do is be in relationship with a man.
A man, yeah.
Tell me about how you mindfully walk that out every day.
Well, one of the things I do differently with my son than I do with my daughters is most of the, not chastising, but I'll call it warrior training I do with him. I do it away from the house, away from mama, and away from the sisters.
Man, that's so good. Erica, I know. Erica, I love I'm laughing because I can hear my wife.
It's my baby. It's my baby. He's
the same thing. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Go ahead, Warren. Go ahead.
Because you say he's my baby, but you want him to flip the switch when he becomes of age and be somebody's man.
Yeah.
And that it don't happen that way. It happens over time. My father had to take me away from the house, and so my mother couldn't see. I mean, she didn't see him beat me up on the basketball court and making sure if I got a foul, I'm like, quit crying and quit making me tough and making me do things like my son. He hurt my feelings the other day, a couple months ago, so bad because he lied to me. Right, my son is going on to he lied to me about his socks. I have a rule: do not wear your shoes with no socks.
Right.
So I picked him up from school. His shoes were like terrible. I said, you know what? We're gonna take you to get some shoes, right?
Right.
I said, where's your socks? You know what he told me? He said, I took them off at school. I said, what do you mean you took him off at school? Because he's not a good liar, but he's we're at the shoe store.
Right.
So wait a minute. I said, okay, if you took them off at school, where are they? He said, oh, they're in my backpack. I said, well, let's go back to the car and get them. I knew he was lying.
I love it.
So he's going through his backpack, acting like he's digging for him. He said, oh, Dad, I think I might have left them at school. I said, so I picked up my phone and said, oh, I'm going to call your teacher right now. And he starts crying. He says, Dad, I'm sorry. I wasn't telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. So this is what I did because I decided I wasn't going to spank my kids anymore. Because it's just really, it's a little too close to slavery for me, right?
Yes.
So what I did was I brought him home. I said, take your book bag off and go in the backyard. Meet me. I'll meet you out there. He stood in the backyard, not knowing what was going to happen.
Yes.
I have about 5 or 6 cinder blocks back there. I made him carry a cinder block from one end of the yard to the other and run back and stack them up. And every time he stacked them up, he had to do 10 push-ups. He did it back and forth. He did that for about an hour.
Yes, sir.
I'm crying. His arms felt like noodles. But
yes, sir.
Never lie like that again.
Period.
Yes, sir. What do you mean? Yes, sir.
Erica, I love this. I love you. You are my sister. So let me break this down for you. No king is built in comfort.
Ooh, come on, man.
I accept that.
We right
now.
No
king is built in comfort. Kings are built in crisis.
Yes.
So one of the reasons why King Warryn and myself have to take, now my son is 11, Warryn, so I know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and again, my sister Erica is in the same, I'm laughing because this is the same react. I'm looking at my wife. Same react. That's my baby. That's what I got to, right? So let me now let's segue. We dealt with our sons. Let's deal with our daughters.
Yeah.
I often say, and Erica, first, I'm gonna start with you on this because I often say that a father's role in his daughter's life is so important because he is the first love of her life.
Sure.
And the question now will become, what did the first love of your life do to your heart?
Ooh. Yeah.
Right? So you can see it on many of our sisters are dressed in that pain, in the pain of abuse or abandonment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? My daughter and I almost daily have substantive conversations, just giving her, I always say that I am my daughter's dress rehearsal for marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So last year, she said to me, she said, Dad, when is an appropriate age for me to date?
And how old is she?
She's 15.
Ooh, ours is 15 too.
Oh, okay. So in my head, my answer was when you're dead. But I knew that I had to give her something. So I said, well, I don't feel like you're ready to date yet. And she said, why? And I said, well, because relationships are responsibilities. Wow. You're often talking about how school and sports, you don't have enough time to take care of those responsibilities. Well, what are you going to substitute in order to have this?
Yeah, because it takes time.
Right? So, Erica, can you talk about some of the things that your dad did with you in order to prepare you for the moment that you are in now?
Yeah, my father, so cool, man. I remember early on, I mean, as early as kindergarten, coming home, telling my dad, I got a boyfriend. And he said, you do? What's his name? He never said, you can't talk to boys. You're too, he didn't say that. He said, what's his name? And I told him, I think his name was Demetrius. And he said, well, what makes him your boyfriend? I said, well, he pushed me on the merry-go-round and he pushed me on the swing. And so that was fine, right? And as I went older, I built this relationship of being able to bring things to my father where he would teach me, how to respond. Well, that's not nice. He shouldn't have said that. He never made me feel like liking boys was bad, which allowed me to have a healthy perspective and perception of what this thing is. It's not nasty.
He took away the shame.
He took away the shame. So fathers can do a number of things. They can overdo it with their daughters, where your daughter is always expecting someone do better than my dad.
Yes.
Those girls make terrible wives and terrible girlfriends because the moment one thing's happened, well, my daddy wouldn't. And the same is true for fathers who aren't there.
Yes.
My daddy left me, you gonna leave. You know what I mean? So there has to be this balance of teaching her to have healthy relationships and conversations with guys where she can gauge how she talks with her father and the type of things that the real man and the real love in her life would treat her. How does this weigh? How does this compare? And that's what I want my daughter to understand, who's also 15, and we're probably in the exact same boat.
Yes.
But I'm trying to teach her who she is first and who he is and what that means and her place in the world without making her feel shame where she doesn't feel this is really mine that you keep drinking.
Hilarious, yes.
That's the third time you drug it across the full screen. And that if I had that with yours, you would have told me to get my own.
Bought me one. You just bought one for you. I'm thirsty too.
Our two girls, my youngest, I don't think we're gonna have no problems with her because she's a fireball. My oldest is very tender. She's a creative. She's empathetic. She sees the best in people. Everybody's wonderful and kind. I don't think my baby girl will be that way. So we have literally two different jobs to deal with. I do think he can stand to talk to her. I really wish he would talk to her more about dating than me.
Well, this is good. So Warren, I was just getting ready to she segued us right into it. What are some of the things, what are some of the conversations that you have with your daughters about that subject? How do you feel like you're pouring into them to get them prepared for the moments that we know are going to come?
Well, I take it from where they are. I try not to impose anything on them. I leave a channel open where they can talk to me. So she'll say certain things and I'll leave it open. I'll just ask her questions. I won't give an opinion like, you shouldn't be doing, I'll just say like, okay, so what does that mean? Or, okay, how does that make you feel? And certain things like that. And I'm basically just trying to shape how they react.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And not trying to put a bunch of stuff into her head, but at the same time, with my oldest daughter, I'm super candid about especially sexual things. What I really want from you.
Yeah.
And she gets really embarrassed. I'm like, don't be embarrassed now. I'm just telling you.
It's coming.
That's what it is.
I got a question.
Yes.
Do you feel that way about your son? Because usually it's unfair.
I am so glad that you asked this question because I wasn't fully present enough to actually take it here. That's so good. My rule for my daughter is the same rule that I have for my son.
Good.
So watch this. I was exposed to my own sexuality way too early.
Yeah.
Way too early. I threw levels of expectation on to my wife based on my sexual experiences and exploits as a male.
The sexual inventory.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a reason why God wants us to wait.
Yes.
There's a reason why, because we shouldn't have that people go, and I absolutely loathe, I try to stop using the word hate, but I actually loathe when I hear people say, I got to make sure that, that we try it to make sure that it's going to be good. Let me tell you something. Think of it this way. How good do you think the only meal you have ever had
will be?
You understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
Listen to me. If you starving, you remember when Eddie said it. If I give you a cracker.
Oh, that was a Ritz. That was a Ritz.
The only meal you ever have is going to be delicious.
Yes.
Do you know how many people have gotten out of relationships?
Yeah.
Because they've had other meals, and now all of a sudden that particular meal doesn't hold up.
Yeah. And he said it earlier. We call that your sexual inventory. If you don't get delivered and release your mind and release those thoughts and really detach yourself, cut those soul ties before you move forward, you'll have another failed relationship because you'll be comparing, well, this one did that and that one did this and she did that and he did, and you'll be putting it all together, and it's totally unfair to the next person. When you want to achieve monogamy, this is the goal. To bring all these other people and all these other spirits and all these other experiences to this one person, and now they have to compete with everybody and all that, all the demons and stuff.
Forget it.
And I have two friends that I am so jealous of because they both got married. They were virgins when they got married. Two guys that I know. And the way these when I talk about open.
Right.
But it made me jealous. Like, man, I wish I had never slept with anybody other than my wife.
Yes.
I wish I don't have a sexual Rolodex in my mind.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? Where an experience that I can recall. You know, you can't really recall what it felt like, but you know you did it. You know what I'm saying?
See, most of the time, we as males, when we are younger, we are robbed of the notion that we can have beautiful experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we got to be guys. We got to be the dude. We got to be masculine. We got to be all of those things.
Yeah.
And that doesn't speak to our manhood.
No.
There are things that are, as men, that we are supposed to not only experience, but build that are beautiful. Hey, brother and sister, I love y'all so much. Y'all know I rocks with y'all with everything all the time. That's why I had to have y'all be a part of this conversation.